As a parent myself, I know that one of the biggest things that we think about is how we don't want to fail our child, mess them up, do something wrong. We really want them to be successful. And I want you to know that going into potty training, you are not going to fail your child. You are not going to mess them up. You are not going to do it wrong. But there are things that you can avoid during potty training to make sure that you are setting your child up for success during this process. So today we are going to be chatting through 7 things to avoid during potty training, so that you can set your child up for a positive potty training experience. But again, I promise, you won't fail. If you've already done some of these things during potty training, there's always time to bring it back. You can always bring that positivity back into it, I promise. The first thing that I want you to avoid when it comes to potty training is heading into potty training when your child is already dealing with constipation. I don't want you to head into potty training with a constipated child, because more than likely, potty training is not going to help this constipation issue. So before you start potty training, I want you to look at what is the root cause of the constipation. I want you to find out what is going on and why is your child dealing with constipation, so that you can resolve it before you start potty training. Again, if you potty train when your child is already dealing with constipation, more than likely the poop part of potty training is going to be a challenge. So I want you to head in already having that figured out, so that you don't have to deal with more poop challenges from potty training. Now, if you've already started potty training and your child had constipation prior and is still dealing with constipation, or you're now dealing with constipation that you weren't dealing with before potty training, it doesn't mean that you can't get past this. You can. It's really important to include lots of hydration in your child's day-to-day life, that they are eating poop-friendly foods, that you're encouraging movement and activity in their day. And if you're still dealing with poop struggles, it is advised that you talk to your child's healthcare provider to figure out what it is that is going on with their constipation and how can you help resolve it. Sometimes there are also pelvic floor issues that could be going on that were either there that led to the constipation or that happened due to the constipation. So it can also be really helpful to talk to a pediatric pelvic floor therapist that is going to help you work through those challenges that will help resolve the constipation. Sometimes the constipation is also more behaviorally based, and it could just be due to your child dealing with potty training struggles. So if your child didn't have constipation before, but they are dealing with some constipation in a short term once you've started potty training, there are behavioral strategies that you can implement to help them get past those potty training struggles. So again, we're going to avoid heading into potty training with constipation issues, but if your child is dealing with constipation post potty training, there are solutions to this. The next thing on our list may surprise you, but the second thing that you want to avoid when it comes to potty training is frequent sits. You want to avoid taking your child to sit on the potty super frequently. I know there are a lot of people out there that suggest this approach to potty training, but there's a few reasons that I don't suggest this approach to potty training. Now, if you have used this approach, you may have found that you can catch a lot of potty training successes by taking your child to the potty really frequently. But what you're not doing is you're not teaching your child how to listen to their body cues to initiate on them. It is really important that your child learns how to do this, because they're going to be out in the world. They're going to not always be right by your side. You're not going to be able to prompt them to the potty every single time that they need to go. It can actually lead to more accidents if your child is reliant on somebody else taking them to the potty. So while yes, they may learn that they can pee in the potty when they're taken to the potty, they're not necessarily learning how to listen to their body to initiate on when they have to go. So I want you to consider how can you teach your child to use the potty without taking them to the potty over and over and over again. You really want to focus on teaching them to learn those body cues so that they can go potty when they need to. And that really takes a lot of trust. So you're not going to take your child to the potty super frequently. I don't suggest that. I would avoid that approach. Another reason that you want to avoid taking your child to sit on the potty really frequently is that can really annoy them. I don't know about you, but if I tried to take my child to the potty every 15, 20, 30 minutes, they would not be fans of this. They would start tantruming, there would be a power struggle. It would become a potty avoidance situation. I've worked with a lot of families that come to me after they've tried this approach and they don't know what to do because now their child will not go to the bathroom. They won't go near the potty, they want nothing to do with it. So you want to avoid that. You don't want to end up in a power struggle with a toddler. That is not fun. You want it to be their idea, that they are the ones that are deciding when they go potty. And the best way to do that is to teach them to listen to those signs so that they can initiate on them, so that they're going on their accord because they feel like they have the need to go potty. Another reason that you want to avoid taking your child to the potty frequently is if they are eliminating that little bit of pee in their bladder every so often, they're never getting that sensation of a full bladder. So if they're never getting the sensation of a full bladder, they're not learning what that feels like. They're not learning how to initiate during times when they aren't getting taken to the potty really frequently. So that time when you go out to the park and it's been more than, an hour, let's say, that you have taken your child to the potty, they don't know that they should be tuning into that cue for a full bladder to go potty. So you really do want to avoid taking your child to sit on the potty frequently as your approach to potty training. There are other approaches that will help your child learn how to listen to their body cues a little bit better and avoid those power struggles. Now, another thing that you will want to avoid when it comes to sitting on the potty is long potty sits. You do not want your child to be sitting on the potty for a long period of time. This is sort of similar to the last one, but part of it is you don't want the potty to become aversive to your child. You don't want them to start avoiding the bathroom, the potty, and not like this experience. Sitting on the potty for a long period of time can be really uncomfortable. It can be boring. It can be annoying. Your child is not going to be a fan of any of those things. So you want to avoid long sits for that reason. You also want to avoid long sits because it can lead to things like sore bottoms, hemorrhoids, rashes, discomfort, and that's not going to help your potty training experience. Your child is not going to be enjoying it if they are uncomfortable, in pain, or just really overwhelmed and bored with this whole process. Now, the fourth thing that we want to avoid when it comes to potty training is forcing your child to sit on the potty. Again, I don't know about you, but if I try to force my toddler to do anything, it's not going to happen. It's not going to be pretty, and it's not going to be something that we don't want to go there, okay? Right, guys? We don't want to force our kids to do something. We want them to be comfortable in the things that we're asking them to do. And forcing your child to sit on the potty, again, it's going to lead to those negative associations. If you're getting into a power struggle about taking your child to the potty, nobody's going to be having fun. Kids love fun, and you want your child to have an enjoyable experience while they learn to use the potty so that they're on board, so that they want to keep doing it, so that it can then become part of their normal day-to-day life. You don't want it to become this big, horrible situation, because then nobody is going to be having a good time. The whole thing's going to feel like a flop. Now, I'm not saying that there's not times where you should take your child to the potty. There are times where I do suggest taking your child to the potty, but you don't want it to be forced. You don't want it to feel forceful. You don't want it to feel like it's not something that they're on board with. Something that you can do to kind of get them on board is make sure that that potty sit that you're instructing them to do, not forcing, but instructing them, is followed by something fun and enjoyable for them. So that can include having something fun that's available while they do that potty sit, or it can include something that comes after. So let's say you need your child to go to the potty because you're about to take, maybe a 30-minute drive across town. This is a reasonable time to instruct your child to use the potty. Now, they might not want to go on this 30-minute drive across town, so that's not necessarily the fun thing, but maybe they do, right? Like maybe you guys are about to go to the zoo. So you can tell your child, first we need to go potty, and then we're gonna get in the car to go to the zoo. Let's say you're not going to the zoo, right? Let's say that's not motivating enough, or that's not where you're going, right? You can layer something in that is fun for your child, that can help motivate them to want to get ready. So maybe it's let's go potty, and then you can go pick out which shoes you want to wear. Or let's go potty, and then when we get in the car, I'll put on your favorite song. Something that's going to motivate your child. Maybe it's a toy that they can play with in the car. Maybe it's bedtime and you are going to read their favorite book before bed. Something that is going to be motivating to get them to be agreeable to that potty sit. So again, you're not going to force your child to sit on the potty. You're putting it in their court, but you are instructing them to do it at certain times with something that's going to motivate them to be on board for the potty sit. All right, guys, we're on number 5 of the 7 things that you want to avoid when it comes to potty training. And number 5 is that you want to avoid asking your child if they want to go potty. You might be thinking that this doesn't make a lot of sense, but let me explain. So, I don't know about you again, but if I ask my child if they want to do something that isn't really like their favorite thing in the whole world, most likely the answer is no. Kids love to say no. It's like a toddler's favorite word, right? So if you ask your child if they need to go potty, even if they do, they're more than likely going to say no. So let's avoid that question. Especially early on, it's important to avoid asking your child if they need to go potty because they're still learning what that means. So it's better to give them those reminders and really put it in their court versus asking them a question that they're more than likely going to say no to. So like my son, if I ask him if he needs to go potty, he's going to say no, even if I know that he has to. I'm going to give him that space to come back and tell me when he's ready or to make his way to the bathroom when he is feeling comfortable and confident to make his way to the potty. So we're not going to ask our toddlers, do you need to go potty, until we know that they can reliably answer that question. I'll say my 5-year-old, she's more than likely going to answer that question correctly. My 3-year-old, not so much, especially early on in his potty training days. I was avoiding that question because he didn't even know how to answer it. This one might seem a little bit obvious, but something that we do want to avoid when it comes to potty training our child is reprimanding them or getting mad at them when they have a potty training accident. Now, we know that accidents are going to happen. You go into the potty training experience knowing that, but we also want to make sure that this accident cycle that may happen at certain points in your potty training experience isn't starting to rub you the wrong way, that then you're reacting in a way that isn't the most helpful. I'm not saying that you're not allowed to be annoyed. It is annoying to clean up pee and poop off of the floor, off of your child, wherever it may have gotten. It's not fun, right? I get that. But we don't want to get mad at our child, even if we know that they know what they're supposed to do. I hear this really often. A parent will tell me they know that they're supposed to poop in the potty. They know that they're supposed to pee in the potty. I don't know why they're not doing it. I get that. This is a big skill though that they're learning. And it's really important to keep in mind that if we reprimand or we get mad, that's not helping them learn. That's just showing them that we're frustrated and not that they can then learn this big new skill. But I want you to continue to be supportive of your child as they learn this skill. So I want you to think about, why are these accidents happening and how can I support them in learning how to recognize those signs and make it to the potty? Or how can I teach them to act on those signs that they may be feeling when they have to pee or poop versus getting mad about it? Because getting mad about it could lead to feelings of shame, feelings of disappointment, and feelings like they may not know how to do this, even if, we feel like they can. And if your child starts having these negative feelings, it could lead to more accidents. It could cause more issues long term versus really leaning into how can you support them through this and get them to the other side so that you're not dealing with potty training forever. This last one has a similar theme to the other tips that we've been talking about, and that is that we don't want to make potty training a negative experience for your child. So let's not make your child clean up their potty accident, okay? I know that you may feel like, well, they had the accident and they should be involved in this cleanup process, but we don't want to make this experience punishing for your child. You want your child to be motivated to learn to pee and poop in the potty, and it is not a helpful way to do this by causing them to feel like they've done something wrong when they have a potty accident. They are learning a big new skill. Your child is not trying to be bad or naughty by having a potty training accident. They are just learning. They are learning a skill that is really multiple skills all lumped together. And it's huge and they're little. So instead of making your child clean up the accident, it is just helpful if they have an accident to remind them of the expectations for next time. Really lean into what is that motivation to help them learn for next time. All right, so we just went over 7 things to avoid during potty training. Now, if you've done any of these things during your potty training already, if you're already in the mix, it's okay. Just focus on how can you move forward? How can you help your child continue to learn these skills? How can you kind of kick some of these things to the side and let them be in the past? It's okay, just move forward. So let's recap the 7 things to avoid when it comes to potty training. The first one that I want you to do is not potty train if your child is already dealing with constipation issues pre-potty training. The second thing that I want you to avoid is don't make your child sit on the potty frequently. And the third thing is don't make them sit on the potty for a long period of time. Number 4, you are not going to force your child to sit on the potty. The last 2 things that you're going to avoid when it comes to potty training is you are not going to reprimand or get mad at your child for a potty accident, and you're not going to make your child clean up their potty accident. Now that we've talked about all the things that I suggest you avoid when it comes to potty training, I also want you to know how to potty train and what to do. So if you want more tips on potty training, I invite you to subscribe to my channel and learn all the things that you can about potty training, and also head to the links in the description for tons of helpful information on potty training.